You cannot conduct a waltz. You have to play it and to give the impulses. That's how you play a waltz. And it works. I mean, you can see it on stage when we do it. And Strauss did it the same way.
Rieu has been described as the new king of the waltz, and the similarity in his approach to one of the great musical showmen of the Victorian era, Johann Strauss the Younger, is clear. Like Strauss, Rieu is a crowd pleaser.
He is first and foremost an entertainer, but he's also a serious classical musician. And I think what he's trying to do is put the spectacle into that music.
In the 19th century, classical music was simply popular music, and spectacle was as much a part of the experience as the music itself. Rieu has set out to rework that tradition for modern audiences.
Very often in interviews I say, yes, but are you more entertainer as musician? So I'm both.
It's interesting, isn't it? The Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra can play much the same programme, albeit without dancing horses and water fountains, on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day each year in Vienna, and the critics adore it. Albums are released, they sell relatively well. Andre and his orchestra ratchet it up a notch or two higher than that, and there are certain within the classical music establishment who aren't happy that it's happening. If I were him, I'd be quite happy that there are a few naysayers. It's great publicity.
Like Strauss before him, Rieu has used publicity to good effect.
I think both he and Johann Strauss have many things in common. They were both great showmen. They both did an enormous number of concerts to an enormous number of people. They were both financially very successful within their own lifetimes. So there are definitely parallels between the two of them.
His orchestra were dance orchestras, so they danced on his music like his father. And later he composed and he made operettas. But in fact, he wanted to entertain the people, and that's what he did.
He's looked into the history books, and he's looked at the world of Johann Strauss from the 19th century, and how things were in Vienna, and how things looked in Vienna. And he's had a very clear idea in his own mind of how that worked and how that can translate to a modern audience.
The moment when you go on stage, even when you are classical, you entertain the people. No? So what's wrong with the word entertaining?
As a performer, Rieu always takes center stage.
It happens really all over the world, every night. Men get crazy. They cannot control themselves anymore. They jump out of their seat. They sling a woman out of their chair. And they start to dance.
They always call him the Mel Gibson of the violin, and I know that a lot of women fall for him. He's very charming, and he's a very romantic person. Also the way he interacts with the people, and people feel like he's watching them, especially the ladies, I assume. But I don't think he's a rock star.
The Mel Gibson of the violin. Yeah, no, I'm proud of that.
Rieu's violin was made by the renowned craftsman Antonio Stradivarius in 1732.
It's, I think, a dream for a violinist to play on such a violin. I know I own it because I paid for it, but I don't see it as though it's mine. I'm more the caretaker that it goes to the next generation after me. You know, playing on an instrument like that, you play and it plays alone. Of course you have to play, but it's so fantastic, the sound that comes out of it. It's really a dream.
Rieu's orchestra is hand-picked, and many of its members have stayed with him for years. As well as being virtuoso musicians, they're expected to follow his lead.
The orchestra is very disciplined. It's one big family that's traveling, but at the end, it's Andre that's the boss. He's part of us, he's part of the group, but he will be the boss at the end when something is not going the way it should. With rock bands, you have 4 or 6 individual people on stage and they all want their thing. So I think it's a little easier with our group, even though we're 60 people.
Of course, I'm in front, I'm the boss, and they know I'm leading the whole thing and deciding what we're going to play. But we do it together. I mean, it's one instrument. We are one instrument, and we are a bunch of friends. I think that's very, very important. We travel together, we live together more than 200 days a year, so we are very close. And most of the orchestra is together more than 15 years, more than half of the orchestra. So you can imagine when we are on stage, I only have to look or the I give it a little bit slight other tempo than the day before, because just for fun, you know, it's so much fun to do that. It's really, it's better than sex.
They'll be dressed in the most extraordinary outfits. The women will be all in Viennese ball gowns, the men will be in the more traditional suits.
They would hate to be in a black dress and sit like that. They love it.
You look at those players when they're playing, they're smiling, they're doing tricks, but they're still playing absolutely perfectly and from memory as well. That's quite hard to do.
Then maybe in the middle of a production, fireworks will go off and the trombonist will be balancing the trombone on his nose. You don't get that at anybody else's concerts.
Audiences at an Andre Rieu concert have come to expect an orchestra that not only plays the music they want to hear, but also acts it out as well. Rieu encourages his musicians to perform comedy vignettes and to engage directly with the audience. It's an approach that has alienated some critics, but proved popular with the paying public.
Every night is for me a new night and a new challenge, and I'm extremely nervous to go on stage every night again, and everybody said, why? I mean, you play the Danube every night, why nervous? But the nervousness is because I want to make this evening for my orchestra, for me and for the audience, a night they will never forget.
But Rieu's repertoire doesn't just consist of classical standards. He crosses musical boundaries, even going so far as to perform this tribute to the late Michael Jackson.
I mean, when 10,000 people are having the night of their life, what's wrong with that?
This Thursday, there's only one show that'll leave you saying,
oh my God.
She's Celebrity Big Brother's Queen of Diamonds.
My love for pizza is an absolute joke.
Find out why for Amy. Life is child's play.
Why do they want to pack me for? I'm a girl from Essex.
And get